technology has influenced water, like conservation, sustainability, and access, if from a third world perspective and from a first world perspective. So, living in both a first world and a third world country, I've noticed several differences and similarities when it comes to the access of water, the use of water, and how much we care about like how important water is in our daily lives. So I think when moving to the United States and growing up here, I took a lot of things for granted, like taking showers with running water and not having to worry about uh, heating my water by myself using boiling water just to take a shower. And I think when I moved here and realized that these things are like very accessible, I noticed that these issues are like very real and like a lot of people are influenced by them. So in the year 2013, I had moved. Well, I hadn't moved. I had visited for a good 3 months my grandparents in Fiji, and living there for 3 months, I had to get very accustomed to life there. Like I would have to shower. I wouldn't. It wasn't a shower. It was like a bath with a bucket, and and I realized that these problems really affect like loved ones of mine, and is like from then on it's become a like sort of a passion for me to like work towards solving these issues. So also in that same year, I had a sophomore year project where in which I discussed about how I traveled to Fiji and I noticed these differences in water consumption, and I compared that to uh, the drought that was ongoing in California and how having to minimize my water consumption uh, really opened my eyes. And so, what role does technology play into all this? I think that technology has like the potential to really change like lives, especially in third world countries as Fiji. So this large thing is something that my grandfather had in his backyard in the home that he built in Fiji. So, as some of you might know, it's illegal to harvest rainwater in the United States because we need it to like run off into wells. But in the country of Fiji, there are no like regulations like that. So what my grandfather did was he had built this giant tin container which would collect rainwater because it rained a lot in Fiji, and uh, the role that technology played into this aspect was that he had his own filtration system, and it wasn't sophisticated at all. Actually, it was pretty primitive. What he would do is he would get a very fine cloth, and he would run the water through that very fine cloth, and he would like take the dirt out of the water essentially, because as you dirt would accumulate in this large tin, and it would be very costly to clean it. So, and also the showering of the bucket. And so what this chart shows is the average water use per person, like compares these all these countries. We have several third world countries here, which you can see are very minimal, and we have the United States, which has the most water consumption per person per day. And the thing I want to compare this chart to is this chart. So you can see, despite the United States and Germany having relatively similar uh, GDPs per capita, and what a GDP per capita is, it translates how wealthy like each individual in a nation is. So I want you to look at that and look back at the water consumption per person. You can see that for Germany compared to the United States, it's less than half, but people are still making the same amount of money. So what this really showed me, and what you guys might see in this too is that the United States citizens have a really poor tendency to take for granted these, you know, daily tasks of using water, and I think we can all do something to change that. So, some technologies that have really influenced, uh, saving water, uh, are like shower heads and toilets. I think this is more applicable for first world countries because in third world countries, a lot of they don't really use shower heads as often, and like shower head technology is becoming more and more efficient. So like you're wasting less water. And another thing I noticed, especially like the dorms here for shaving, usually you would clog your sink so that the water is still, but you would brush your razor in there, and that would save water because you wouldn't have to brush your razor under a running tap. But since they don't have clogs on the sinks at the bathrooms and the toilet here, that like adds just a little bit more to that water being wasted. So I think technologies like that, if they were added to our dorms, would help save water. And another big issue that I noticed is that between third world and first world countries is recyclability of water. Uh, well, water usage is very free in the United States, whereas back in Fiji, when we would be taking showers, we'd have a drainage system, and that drainage system would bring water back to another container, and my grandfather would like filter the water like again and again using that same process. It was kind of like it was in a sort of way reusing like your water. Yes, yes. Thank you. It was reusing your drinking water, and also I think there are a lot of factors that influence the impact of different technologies in a certain area. If you compare third world and first world areas, you notice that technologies like filtration systems are much more effective in third world countries because their problems are more concerned with uh, fresh water versus dirty, contaminated water, like containing infectious diseases. And in regards to first world countries, shower heads and toilets and these more saving water per daily usage is much more